Look at this knife and tell me it's not perfection. This is the Sharp by Design Arch Nemesis by Brian Nadeau. And it's a masterpiece. It's on loan to me from Alex Tissot of Alex's Knife Box. Check him out. And I mean, yeah, this is a stunning knife. Custom built for Alex. Alex sent Brian this material. It's called Noble, I believe, and it's a radioactive glow-in-the-dark material. And he sent it to Brian. Brian had never worked with the material, strange enough. Imagine my shock. But he worked with it and built it into this knife and did a beautiful job. Ever since I first laid eyes on this knife, I've thought that it just looks perfect to me. It's just perfect, symmetrical, it's pleasing to the eye the way the Vitruvian Man, that picture of the guy with all the circles, and it's the same sort of thing. And no, I'm not comparing Brian Nadeau to who was that, Da Vinci? But look at this. I'm not going to have much rational to say about this because I don't approach this knife in a rational way at all. Oh, here's something rational to talk about. It's not just beautiful and just incredibly built, but here's some innovation. You see, this is, let's see, let me get something to point with. A very unique detent. He doesn't use a detent ball. He doesn't press a detent ball into a hole in the lock bar. He builds this, he mills this steel lock bar interface here that nestles into the titanium. And he mills away everything that isn't the detent. And that detent is a little ramp thing there. He doesn't use a ball, it's a ramp milled out of the steel. So, I mean, he's getting rid of a lot of steel across off that surface to create that detent. Look at that thing. It's like a detent nub. I don't know what you would call it, but it breaks easily. Like there's no lag, or there's no getting over the hump, so to speak. And it fires so uniquely. I mean, it's effortless. It's almost machine-like. The way it breaks, the way the detent breaks, almost feels like a machine. Like there's something in there that's making it happen other than, well, I guess it is a simple machine, but I think you know what I mean. In as much as I know what I mean, it has a very, very special feel. And I guess that people who have Sharp by Design knives are familiar with it. This is the first one I've ever experienced. And, in hand. And it's stunning to me in all ways, including how afraid I am of it, because if anything were to happen to this, if I were to drop this, it just 1 second of Butterfingers could just be deadly. So I just have been holding it over my table here, and when I move it from the table, I move it locked in its little case here, and I have bad luck with very fine tips, and this is a very fine tip. So there are a few knives in my collection that gave me a similar feel when I first saw them. Like, whoa, what? I have to have it. And this one of all is by far the most out of reach, not only because it was an exclusive build and very, very expensive, by my standards, but also, he's not making them anymore. He just kind of makes a run of them, and that was that. And if you search them on Instagram, you'll see all the very many different sort of custom what do you call it, configurations and combinations he made for different people. And not for nothing, but this edge grind is perfection. Man, this guy is a master. I mean, he is a real true master. And I know everyone knows this already, and I'm always late to the party, but thank you, Alex, for letting me experience this knife. You know, it is humbling to have something like this in hand and to look at all the details. And actually, as I'm taping this, I feel like I can even get closer than I do in real life. Maybe that's my old man eyes. Now, if this were mine, which it is not, but if this were mine, it would be a safe queen for sure. But if this were mine and I had a few of them and it weren't a safe queen, I would say that this thing is very useful. I mean, yes, it's a dagger, so it's useful for, well, let me just say it this way. It's set up in such a way that it's ergonomically very sound for holding it in reverse grip like this. I love that. You cap it with your thumb right there. Set up for saber grip beautifully, you know, or a hammer grip. It's just that symmetrical handle is neutral enough, but it also has the twin choils that really allow you to, I don't know, to get some really good purchase there. And then thankfully he's got quillions here too. So if you are thrusting, you're not going to run into anything. You're not going to run off onto the blade there. All of that is theoretical. I don't think anyone who has one of these is taking them out into the field and getting in fights with them. I can't imagine that. You know, just not happening. But it could if we lived in an era where that happened and we were all, you know, buying these knives as weapons to defend our lives and our honor. And, you know, we were getting in duels and on the streets and stuff. And we were fancy. Yeah, this would do the trick. Love that clip. I'm, you know, I'm really, really impressed by this. And I would like to get some more of his knives in hand just to experience them. That is not a solicitation. If you've watched to this point and you have one to offer, I'm not asking. But if you don't mind, I'm not asking. Just kidding. So I believe these quillions. I have not put this in my pocket and I don't plan to, but I have very little doubt in my mind that you couldn't wave that out of your pocket. However, I don't plan on putting it in my pocket, let alone rip it from my pocket to see if it'll wave open. I just intuitively would say that'll do it. So what do you think of that? A 4 1/4 inch dagger that you can wave out of your, 4 1/4, that you can wave out of your pocket just with fierce and deadly style. You'd be so stylish with this designer luxury knife, but then drawing it from your pocket that way would just be so cool. All right, I'm going off into fantasy land. Before I sign off, let me show you a couple of the other knives. You know what? I'm going to put this down. I don't want it to get, you can see the little schmutz on there. I don't want any of that to get on this knife. It's dried paint, but still. A couple of other knives that I started to mention before that had me saying, wow, that's a perfect design the first time I saw them. And one of them is this one. The Spartan Harzy Dagger, to me, is just hits all the same marks, many of the same marks as this. Obviously, it's a totally different level of production and that kind of thing. But in terms of the just straight design, there's something about daggers that are undeniably appealing, but that doesn't mean every dagger is a good looking dagger. And to me, these are perfect. Okay, another one that when I saw it, I had to have is the attention to detail mercantile fighter, double edge. I got mine with tortoiseshell. The feel of this knife is amazing. The look of this knife is amazing. I've worn some of the that off with my Kydex, but again, hollow ground. These two are hollow ground, which I think is pretty essential in a dagger if you expect to slash with it. You want to get a little bit of belly on that edge and a hollow grind so that you are minimizing the necessary cross-sectional, rigidity profile, if you know what I mean. That diamond, you're sort of reducing the diamond shape, but maintaining the rigidity of it. You're reducing it by scooping out the material this way. So yes, all hollow grinds. And then this is also double-edged, but a very different type of knife. My new Monkey Thumper. But again, a knife, I saw it, I was like, oh God, I gotta have that. Eventually I will have that. And in this case, it was a possibility because he's still making them. In this case, it ain't. And I don't think, not only is he not making them, but I don't think people are parting with them either. Couple of folders just to show for size comparison here. The usual size comparison knife that the internet knows. That is the Paramilitary 2. So you can see this is a large knife. It's a large pocket knife here. Here it is with the XM24, Reichenderer XM24. So still bigger, and that's a big knife. Let's see. Here, this is about more the size. This is, but still a little bit shorter in the blade, and that is not a trick of the eye. Just slightly less on the blade. This is the zero tolerance Sinkovich designed 0452CF, I think, all those numbers. Also not a small knife. All right, lastly but not leastly, a large fancy knife, but obviously a different kind of fancy. This is brawler fancy, but this is the large 5.5-inch cold steel Espada. So as you can see, it's not quite as large, but at 4.25 inches and double-edged, I mean, it leaves an impression. It's just, all right, I'm gonna stop. This has been a whole almost 13 minutes of me just gushing. I highly recommend you get one if you can afford it and you can find it. If you love the design, you will love the knife. Thank you, Alex. Check out Alex's knife box for like a whole bunch more of amazing knives, all in this caliber. All right, thanks for watching.